Why is the British monarchy still a thing? In Europe, having a monarchy is fairly normal and lots of countries have one. Belgium, Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Spain etc. What links these countries is that they've been relatively stable politically for as long as they've had a monarchy. No revolutions. So there has never been a big upheaval to change the status quo. Plus, it's actually pretty hard to get a majority of people to be against the monarchy when they just aren't that relevant to everyday life. They aren't active politically and they aren't controversial. Unless there's scandals. So most people just don't think about them a lot. There'll always be higher priorities for people than abolishing it. Our royals are basically a tourist attraction, soap opera that brings in a few billion quid a year. Off-sucker tourists. They cost us about £1.30 per person per year. They're symbolic of heritage and history, carry no real power and give the masses something to cheer or boo about. When something happens to one of them, we get a holiday. The monarch is the head of state. They do head of state duties such as the signing of bills into law. It's been hundreds of years since a monarch refused to do so, even though they do legally have the power to do so. King Charles III is also the monarch of a number of other countries such as Australia, Canada and New Zealand. This is separate to him being monarch of the UK. He has the power under the Australian Constitution to overturn a bill within 12 months of it having been signed by the Governor-General, who is his representative in Australia. You might want to include the Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish monarchies as well. If you're gonna pick on the Brits, you might want to include all those progressive Scandinavian states too. Oh, Belgium and the Netherlands also. In the constitutional monarchy model, governance has two parts: the efficient and the dignified, or the ruling and the reigning. Efficient is the parliament that handles the debates, the paperwork, the campaigning, lawmaking, elections, the processes, etc. The ruling, the dignified, is the monarchy, who must embody the history, culture, heritage, spirit, stability and the symbolic continuity of the nation. The reigning, the efficient, must answer to the dignified, and the dignified must consult and advise with the efficient. That's why they're very scrutinized. Every little scandal puts the institution into question, mainly focused on the head of state, the king, queen. If the king, queen doesn't hold to the ideals of dignity and duty, Parliament can resign and leave his/her kingdom without a government. Parliament resigning from the monarchy signals to the public that the monarchy's right to reign is under question. Parliament represents the people in theory, so it depends on public sentiment. So long as the monarchy continues to ingratiate with the people through things like sponsoring charities and patronages, public engagements, pageantry, ceremony, voluntary service, etc., and not whine about their duties, and so long as the public still supports the monarchy, they will continue to exist. I'm not a monarchist at all, but someone I forgot who made a good point that having an apolitical head of state is actually a good thing. That person would simply symbolize, personify the nation. So when someone thinks of your nation, they aren't thinking of someone who, say, goes on Twitter, rants and makes up fake outrage to get votes. They'll actually think of some little old lady who wears bright colors or something like that. Honestly, not a terribly bad idea. Plus, as loads of people are saying, the royal family boosts the economy with tourism. But yeah, I'm too damn American for that. Because we allow it. One minor and one major benefit to keeping the monarchy. Minor. They are good for the tourism sector in the UK. Major. A large majority of the treaties between Native American groups in Canada and the Canadian government are actually made with the crown and not the Canadian government, and abolishing the monarchy would mean those treaties are null and void, and it's highly unlikely that the current Canadian government would maintain those treaties in a new draft. My English teacher once told us that they bring in millions of money thanks to the tourism they attract every year. Also, they are part of the culture and history. The British monarchy is still a thing because most Britons want it to still be a thing. Most British people are still fascinated by the monarchy and considered it a symbol of their national identity. To you and to some people the monarchy might seem silly, but most British people don't think it's silly. And as long as the majority doesn't think something is silly and unnecessary, then the thing stays around. It's part of their culture and probably what the rest of the world most closely associates with the UK. Just look at American news during the coronation, front page everywhere. There's no good reason to get rid of them. The UK is a constitutional monarchy where the monarchy basically has no power and was reduced to basically a tourist attraction. It's a parliamentary republic in all but name. The king has no power. So why get rid of him? Even if they did, it would simply just be another symbolic thing. To note, the British aren't the only constitutional monarchy in the world. So just asking why British monarchy is a thing is kinda ignoring other countries with the exact same system. I think the monarchy serves as a steadfast symbol of stability and tradition. Governments come and go, but the monarchy stands apart from all that. A lot of people seem to crave that enduring sense of national identity. What I find puzzling is why some people envy the royals. To me, it would be like being told what to do almost every day of your life. A life of duty, rarely able to just be yourself. Go where you like, do whatever you like, not to mention having to sit through endless formal meetings and ceremonies and deliver speeches. Dress up every time you walk out the door in case paps are lurking, etc. It would be my idea of a nightmare, for which no amount of wealth could compensate. That's what puzzles me about Harry and Meghan. They claimed they were done with royalty, made their escape, for which I don't blame them. Perfectly understandable. But then set about sabotaging their newfound freedom by throwing scandal bombs back over the fence to feed the publicity engine, while complaining about their loss of royal privileges and reveling in the royal titles bestowed upon their children. Perhaps they just want all the perks without any of the responsibilities? Why do people think that the British monarchy is the only one in the world? No idea. As a Brit, I always found it quite medieval and Game of Thronesy. But the coronation was another level. The pointless swords and touching rings. It was ridiculous. Tradition mostly. At about a penny per day for the average citizen. They're harmless. Currently they exist as a distraction from the murderous conservative government currently in power. Everyone is asking what the royals are for, imagining that they are somehow responsible for Tory ills. I love how it's only the British monarchy that gets this sort of scrutiny. Meanwhile, all the other European monarchies are just keeping their heads down and hoping nobody remembers that they all still exist as well. They are the original Kardashians. If you want a direct answer to your question, why is the British monarchy still a thing? It's got two answers. 1. Between 55% and 62% of the population support the institution. According to the latest polling, though it's definitely lower than it's ever been, it's still the kind of approval rating that most modern US presidents could only dream of. 2. Even if there was public opposition to the monarchy, there's no political will to get rid of it because, as others have discussed, it's purely a symbolic role. All of the political powers that the monarch traditionally holds is actually now exercised by the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, and the absence of an elected head of state above the Prime Minister gives them a level of power not enjoyed by any other head of state. And if you can name one politician who would voluntarily give themselves less power for the good of the people, I would be very shocked.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.